Namaste and welcome. It is Rishi here from meditatewithrishi.com, and in today's video we are speaking about how to spiritualize your life, how to spiritualize your entire life. Okay, so this is actually a continuation of yesterday's video. Yesterday we spoke about the 5 pillars for a truly happy life. And today we are speaking about how to actually integrate all of them. So the point is this, okay? By the way, before I start, I want to say this. I actually never or hardly say this, but this is a video you need to watch until the end, okay? You'll love it, okay? You'll really love it, especially if you are on the spiritual path, okay? So the thing to understand is this: if we want to truly be happy in life, okay, and what I'm talking about is the happiness that comes from within, not some, by acquiring some material thing. The happiness that just radiates, that pours out from within. If this is what we desire, there is only one thing to do, only one thing, okay, and it is this: it is to change our lens, to change our lens and actually view life, view everything as divine. View everything as divine, because life equals divinity. Okay? Life equals divinity. So what do I mean by this? Okay? I'm gonna tell you exactly what I mean, and then we're gonna go into the 5 areas of life and how to spiritualize them. Okay? So what I'm talking about here is, if you look around, this thing that we call life, okay, life in all beings, in all forms, in the entire, everything that exists in the planet, is a type of life essentially. But there is something that is making it alive. There is something that is making it alive, right? So I'll give you an example, okay? Let's take all of your electronic gadgets that you have. You have, a mobile phone, a fridge, a TV, all these things. Is it fair to say that all of these devices are actually useless without the electricity that powers them, right? They would just be dead devices. So what actually brings them to life, what makes them what they are, is electrical energy, right? In the same way, there is something within you, within me, within the plants and all beings out there. There is something that is giving life, because you can be dead, right? Death also happens. There is something that is giving life, and this thing that is giving life, this energy, this life energy, or whatever you want to call it, this is essentially divinity. This is divinity itself, okay? Now, this is the point, that if we realize this, that within me, actually divinity exists within me, and it exists within everything else, that means that everything is just one. The entire universe, everything that we call as life, is just one in different forms. That energy is coming through a different form and having a different experience, right? So within me, it's coming as a human. Within you, it's coming, it's coming into a human experience. But within a plant, that energy is still there, and it's having a plant experience. The plant experiences this world very differently to you because of all the senses that you have and the way that you've been constructed as a human being. But okay, I digress. So what is the point of this? Okay, this is where we need to understand what spirituality actually is. Simply put, okay, one definition of spirituality is to realize this divinity within you and within all things. Ultimately, self-realization, right? It is going within and realizing what is actually within me. Okay, you know what? I am this divine energy within. That's what I really am. And so is everything else. So what, you may think? So what? So what this means is that if we live life in this way, acknowledging and honoring the divinity within yourself and everything else, life will just become beautiful. It will just become beautiful, okay? So I want to show you what I mean by this, okay? And how to actually do that. I think it's 50-50. Part of it is us consciously trying to do it. And the other part of it, with spiritual practice, as your heart expands more and more, you will just naturally feel this way. You will be able to see, you know, when you're walking to work, the same grass and trees and plants that you see, when your heart expands, you will see them differently. You will see the life, the beauty within them, okay? So let's begin. We spoke about the 5 pillars yesterday: spirituality, health, purpose, relationships, and giving back, okay? So how do we spiritualize each and every area? So let's begin. So the first one, spirituality. This, of course, very simply is, this should be a part of life, right? So spirituality is something that should be a priority, that we should have an aim in life, that I want to know who am I, and I want to know what is this existence ultimately. So a quest. And the way that you go about doing that, you know, there's of course different ways that you can do that, but you know, whether it's meditation, whether it's bhakti, whether it's a combination of all of these, this is something that should be a part of our life. Okay, so the first one is simply that to spiritualize your life, you need to have a spiritual practice. Okay, so that's number one. So let's look at number two now. Number two is health. When we look at health, ultimately, if everything is divine, if you are divine, that means that your body is a temple. You view your body as divinity itself, and this body itself is a temple, which means that if, you know, let's look at an actual temple. What do you not do in a temple? You don't drink in a temple, you don't smoke in a temple, right? You don't swear in a temple, you don't say harmful things in a temple. All these things, we don't do them there because we think, oh, this is a sacred space. This is a space where God lives. But actually that God is within you, right? So we should just not be doing these things. And the more you grow spiritually, the less you'll feel like doing this, right? This is how, I mean, if you know my story, I came out of, you know, hardcore addiction to drugs and alcohol, smoking, very, you know, bad habits, all of this, right? But spiritual practice is what will bring you out, essentially. So the way that you spiritualize your health is by viewing your body as a temple. And whatever you would not take into a temple, you do not take into your own body, right? Pretty simple. Number three is purpose. How do we look at purpose in a spiritual way? Very simple. Because if everything is divine, that means that the divine is actually acting through you, right? If you are connected, if you are aligned with this energy, then your unique purpose will just flow out of you as a gift to the world. Your unique purpose will just flow out of you as a gift to the world. If you think about people who are at the top of their game, it could be a chef, it could be an athlete, it could be anything. They often say that, you know, when I get into the flow state, something takes over. I'm no longer doing something. It is being done through me. There is something that takes over. There is some force, some power that takes over, and it is doing it through me. In fact, this is why I've dedicated myself to just do these videos. Because when I do videos is when I feel the most connected, the most open, where I feel like literally what I'm talking about is not actually from me. It's just flowing through, essentially. So the more that you quiet your mind, the more that you come back home to who you really are through whatever practice you adopt, this will just spring forth naturally. Your purpose, what it is, what you're here meant to do, it will spring forth naturally, okay? So ultimately what we want to do in life is we want to find something that's worth doing. And remember I said yesterday, that this could be something very mundane. It could be something very mundane. You could be impacting just 1 or 2 people in this world, and it doesn't matter, because that is what you are here for. If you just connect within, what you're here for will become very clear. So forget about what other people are doing. Forget about what you see on social media. You connect and you listen to yourself, okay? And this is the true way to find your purpose. Sorry. Okay, so we've covered spirituality, we've covered health, your body is a temple, we've covered purpose, which means that allow your gift to flow through you. And when you are connected, this will become clear, okay? Number 4 is relationships. How do you spiritualize your relationships? Very simple. Again, the same idea. Everything is divine. So my wife or my husband or my brother or my sister is a manifestation of the divine. Is a manifestation of the divine. In the Indian culture, the aspect of deities is very common, right? Ram, Sita, Hanuman. And this it makes it very easy because the deities, divinity has been humanized. And because divinity has been humanized, it is very easy to actually picture people in your life as these deities. It's easier to see the divine in them. This has been very, very thoughtfully done, So if you just take the trio of Ram, Sita and Hanuman, that means that any male you see is Ram. Any female you see is the mother Sita. And any animal that you see Hanuman in that animal. And you will naturally not feel like harming them or doing them wrong. In fact, you will feel like loving them. You will feel like loving them, like honoring their presence in your life. This is how you spiritualize relationships. And number five was, we spoke about giving back, okay? Giving back. And this is, again, a spiritual practice, but how do we view this, okay? Very simply, if divinity is everywhere, if divinity is actually within you, if this energy is actually within you, the nature of this energy is that it is infinite, it is abundant, it is infinitely abundant, which means that its nature is that it is overflowing. So whatever you have, you will want to give. Whatever you have, you will want to give, because you know that it is coming from a source that is within you that actually is abundant. It is abundant. And this should go both ways. You should actually cultivate the ability to both give and receive as well, because this is where I think we often fail as human beings. We find it very difficult to receive. We find it very difficult to be deserving. So if somebody is offering us love, or somebody is offering us help or money, you have to look at it like this is just the divine acting through them with open arms, with opening your heart. Learn to receive and learn to give. And I think when you give from a place of openness, receiving even becomes easier. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. If you're new to the spiritual path, some of this may sound a bit far-fetched, like how do I actually do this? But that doesn't matter. You just continue. You continue your practice, and this will become more natural, right? I'm assuming you're watching this video because you are on the spiritual path, or it's something that you are, looking into, right? So this will all happen naturally, but ultimately, this video is kind of an encouragement, that this is the way that you can actually view life. This is the whole idea, right? Because life is a wonder. Life is it really is a wonder, in all aspects, if we have the right lens. So the whole idea is to have the right lens, and the way to have that lens is, of course, by connecting to what is within you, by connecting to that universal energy, by connecting to that divinity that is within you, and that is where spiritual practice comes into play, okay? So that is it for today. I really hope that this helps. And if you are new on the spiritual path and you want some guidance, I do offer one-to-one sessions. I would love to have a chat and see what we can do. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for listening. Namaste.